Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. I'm glad Llordo's handballed this one to me, the number 25s, because it is effectively round 25. So we're going to look at those marvellous men who wore that famous number 25, and I'll kick it off with the great Billy Picken from the Collingwood Football Club, who debuted against Carlton and of course took one of the great marks of all time. I think it was in 1979 perhaps, but Billy Picken, just an out-and-out champion, unfortunately played in 4 losing grand finals for Collingwood and died far too young a couple of years ago at the age of only 66. But 240 games, a 2-time best and fairest winner, and quite rightfully so in Collingwood's team of the century, Isaac.
Yes, Brendan Favola's the next one up. The one, the only, Fev. 204 games, 623 goals, 7-time leading Carlton goal kicker. I'm not sure there was anyone else there kicking goals at that stage, but 2-time Collingwood medalist and 3-time All-Australian. So he was one of the superstars of the game in the early thousands, and he brought thousands of fans through the gates, and I'm sure he'll be there next Friday night cheering on the Blues.
The Loosh.
Fair highlight reel. Like, if you're going to encapsulate someone's career in a 2-minute highlight reel, and sometimes they do that for milestone games, they do that. This would be right up there in terms of some of the best.
And then, of course, there was also him sitting on the bench when he took the boots off. He'd had enough.
that goal at Footy Park, though, that's one of the best after the siren goals you'll ever see.
Yeah. And Isaac, from one showman to another in Mark Jackson, who also wore this particular Guernsey number for Melbourne at least, taking on Kelvin Moore there. He was must-watch. He was actually a brilliant footballer. He kicked 300-plus goals in the 82 games he played, but it was these types of antics that took all the headlines. Look, taking on the Bombers there, big Ronnie Andrews, who you wouldn't ever decide to mess with, but he was happy to. He obviously fought semi-professionally at times. He was an actor. He actually
brought out a single.
He brought out a couple of singles.
I'm an individual.
That were, there is. And made a movie that actually got some credit for being half okay. But no, he was massive off the field. He annoyed a few teammates along the way and played a lot of footy in WA as well.
Next one up is Alex Jesaulenko. They don't get any bigger at Carlton, and this man was absolutely fantastic. And some people don't think that mark was very good, Kane, but that is the mark of the century for the moment, for the timing.
It was a nice mark.
Yeah, it was a good mark. But he went on to coach as well. But his aerial feats, Tony, you would have seen him live back in the day. He was just the timing of his jumps and his leaps was elite.
Yeah, he was great. And, of course, his football genius wasn't restricted to Princes Park. He also spent time at Moorabbin.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was captain coach there. Probably one of the last or second last, alongside Malcolm Blight, as the last captain coaches.
It is Father's Day, so it would be remiss of us not to look at some of the great father-son combinations. And arguably at the top of the heap would be the Abletts. Now, Gary Senior, as we can see there, just, so fortunate, all of us, to have been privy to his talents live at the grounds. 240 games, 2 best and fairests, and as you would know, Isaac, still regarded as an absolute godlike figure around Cardinia Park.
Yeah, he's huge. Everyone, when you go into the game training, everyone still talks about Senior every day and just what he'd do for the crowds down there and what he did for the club.
And what about this bloke, Gary Ablett Jr.? I mean, just his CV is almost as good as yours, Isaac. 248 games, the 89 Norm Smith medalist, I beg your pardon, 8 All-Australians, 2 Brownlows, 2 flags, 357 games for Gary Jr. And when you add the 2 CVs together, as I inadvertently did, it is just unbelievable.
And throw in Nathan too, TJ, who kicked 3 goals in the, as you know, Isaac, the 07 grand final as well. So
we've got the Abletts, but we're moving on to the Daicoses, and they're undisputed, the Abletts, but give it 10 years and these 3 fellows might overtake them, I reckon. Peter was 250 games, 549 goals, 2-time best and fairest, 5-time leading goal kicker, and Australian Hall of Fame. So, and then you got Nick and Josh coming through, who are both All-Australians in 2023. Nick, the rising star, Anzac Day medals, and I'm sure there's still another trophy cabinet to be full by the 2 brothers.
Where do you rate Nick at this short stage, which is only a 2-season career to this point?
Oh, he's been phenomenal in what he's been able to achieve. And speaking to some people at Collingwood, they say, he's the fastest, he's the strongest, he's the smartest. He's already got all these traits that'll put him in that superstar level. He's still got a whole career ahead of him, and where he ends up, who knows. But yeah, he's a pretty special player.
Hard to go past the Watsons for a father-son combination. We'll firstly start with this man, Tim. What a record it is. Some iconic moments in the game. Just burst on the scene. Damo was such a youngster.
Played his first game at 15.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's extraordinary.
15.
And went on to play 307 games. Goal kicker as well, goal kicking midfielder.
And even late in his career,
Yeah,
I mean, this goal in a prelim final.
I was
He was
there.
a big game player, wasn't he?
Absolutely broke my heart. And then there's Job, who started his career a little bit slowly. And I think even himself had some doubts whether he would get there. Went away one off-season, had a big off-season, got super fit. I think it might have been some boxing, and just came back. And this is what he was able to produce. So, nearly 550 games between them. All Australians, 7 best and fairest between them. And some would say Job was a Brownlow medalist. Of course, that was taken away from him.
Definitely
But
football.
will always be a Brownlow medalist.
Definitely football royalty. So let's head to the Silvagnis now. At Carlton, there's been 3 Silvagni. Serge was the first one, 2-time best and fairest winner. 239 games for Serge Silvagni, and he started it all. And then along came Stephen, who fullback of the century, and played a fair bit forward. Kicked 8 goals in a game, but it was so hard to play on.
Kicked some
Stephen
goals,
Silvagni, 202 goals, 2 premierships, 5 times All-Australian. And then Jack just passed 100 games, did Jack, and I think he's playing his best football at the moment. And I hope that Carlton keep him, because I think he's got a lot of years ahead of him. I think just the best of Jack is to come, so the Silvagnis.
Terrific stuff. All right, that wraps up Deep Dive for today. Llordo back doing it next week. And we must check in with the little vampires too to see how his son's team's going. To all the kids playing finals or even a grand final today, all the very best.